All right. So today what I'm going to do is something a little bit different than what Tom did. And like he said, we've been together for a long time. But I always enjoy listening to him speak because his stories and his delivery and his message actually goes really deep. And I think that some of the things he talked about today, he will always sort of be challenging you. And I love it. And that's sort of been our relationship. We both come at it from two very different angles. But the cool thing is, and this is all part of entrepreneurship too, I'll talk about it a little bit later, is diversity of thought. Bringing diversity of thought to a company can really create sort of innovative environments. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So today, I am going to cover really the top 5 things that will help you not only be a better entrepreneur, but it will also help you if you decide, I don't want to start my own company, it'll help you in your career, your trajectory in your career, for sure. And I've learned these things personally, but also through talking to a lot of other entrepreneurs. Now, did he steal the clicker on me? No, it's still up here. Okay, so let's make sure. Okay, so I'll walk through first, sort of my background, without going through my whole history, because I don't think we have that much time. But I'm co-CEO and president of Tastytrade, and one of the things Tom probably talked about too is how we empower the do-it-yourself investor. And that's really exciting to me. That whole concept of sort of learning that there's opportunity all around you in trading, in business, and in life sort of all melds together, which is really kind of cool. But I only put 3 things up there of my history right now. When you look at where I've come, give you a quick timeline. So I started out in public accounting, really exciting. Any accountants in here? None. Oh, a couple, got some over there. Whoop, whoop. I started out in accounting. And because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I jumped in and figured I'd be exposed to a lot of different companies. And I was. That's where I was actually introduced first to the trading world. And the excitement and the constant change, I was like, that is the industry I need to be in, okay? And so what I ended up doing is, after a few years, I had an opportunity that sort of came out of nowhere. One of our clients, not a trading firm, needed a CFO. I was 25 years old, 3 years out of college. And I said, oh my God, I'll take that job. Okay, yeah, not because I thought that I could actually be the best CFO ever, but what it was an opportunity, and I was like, why not go for it? What do I have to lose? I actually got the interview. So I went in, I basically tried to just talk about everything I knew, which really, only a few years out of school, wasn't that much, okay? But I got the job offer, and I took it. And I ran out, this is when there were still bookstores and Amazon wasn't around, and I went and I bought a book that was essentially a desktop book that said, it was basically a manual how to be a CFO and all the things and formulas I needed to know. And I read that. And on top of that, I didn't stop there. I also bought a book that was the the CEO manual, because I knew I'd be reporting to a CEO. And I read that book. And I'll tell you, it was one of those things where it wasn't really about me thinking I was going to be a great CFO. It was about me knowing and having enough confidence that I could figure it out. And that part right there was really, really key. All right, so then I ended up, a few years later, I ended up starting my own practice at age 28 and continue through, I'll fast forward, won't take you through everything, ended up being the CFO of the Chicago, second largest stock specialist firm on the Chicago Stock Exchange floor, so I did make my way back to the trading industry. And then when I started to have small kids, which is a big shift in your life, I jumped off and I went, and I was the CFO actually for Tom Sosnoff. And the rest is history, as they say. So we started Tastytrade 7 years ago after we sold our business, Thinkorswim, to TD Ameritrade. So it was really, it's been a wonderful, wonderful ride, super exciting for me. I don't know how much Tom got into Tastytrade and exactly what Tastytrade is. Really quick, online financial network. We produce 8 hours of live program every day, and Tom is like the rock star of finance, is what I say. So he's like the Howard Stern of finance. He hates when I say that. But of the 50 different shows that we do, there's one show called Bootstrapping in America, which is not trading related. And so I co-host that show, and we interview entrepreneurs every single day. This is one thing that is like one of the favorite parts of my day, because I walk away and I learn something about somebody else's business, whether it was a challenge, whether it was a failure and they learned from it, whatever it was, or just a big win and how they did it. So really kind of cool. The other thing I wanted to highlight is I am a board member of 1871. I'm on a couple other boards too, but this one in particular. So 1871 is a global innovation hub. It's top ranked, and it's really exciting. It's actually only like 5.5 years old, and it's incredible how quickly it's grown. And it's essentially Chicago's entrepreneurial center. So again, being tapped into sort of the entrepreneurs. All right, enough on this slide because we don't need to be looking at me up there. Some of the things I put on there, though, which I think are important, are different traits that I've seen, or certainly just in myself, but I'm like glass half full, so super positive, very curious, always asking why, always wanting to understand it at a very deep level, and resilient. Failure, that's okay, pop right back up and do it a different way. Very competitive. Even Tom and I are super competitive. We think very differently, and we challenge each other every single day. It's kind of fun. And I keep thinking that I can beat him at basketball, too, but we haven't done that yet. And then also, I'm looking just to see what's on here, confidence. I'm going to talk about confidence a little later. And then being passionate about what you do, loving what you do. We'll talk about that. And being compassionate, meaning really, really caring. All right, these are the top 3 reasons. I'm going to run through these really fast. But the top 3 reasons why startups fail, okay? No customer need. People jump out, start a company. Who here wants to start a company? Start their own company. Okay. And how many of you have actually started the process? Okay, very cool. That is so exciting. Awesome. So the first thing is figuring out what the idea is, right? And there are ideas that pop up, but there's no actual customer need. You think it's something somebody wants, okay? But it's not build it and they will come. There's a few things you need to do in that process to make sure they will show up, okay? So I'm going to talk about that a little bit, weaved into some of those top 5, the top 5 things to do. All right, running out of money. Running out of money happens way more often than you think. And then the whole thing can fall apart, okay? So when you need money, you really need to start, if you're going to raise capital, you got to start like 6 months to a year ahead of time. And if it's your first time raising capital, a year to maybe even longer that you need to start. So we'll talk about that too. All right, the third reason that startups fail, they have the wrong people around them. And what that means, it just means that you don't have all the talent pieces in place. And sometimes they're like, this is my friend. That's great. You should do things with your friends. It's great for like culture and collaboration and all that kind of wonderful stuff. But you still need to make sure you have some of those pillars of the different, skill set around you, okay? All right, so let's see if this goes. All right, so I just want to play a quick video because the first one is
one or two
I'll
sort
let
of
myself talk.
takeaways or pieces of advice you'd give to somebody who wants to start a business?
I would say go for it, because personally, I'd rather live a life having tried than regretted not trying.
Do it. Like, what are we doing?
How can I help?
Yeah. What are we selling? Like, what are we? Who are you selling to?
Don't let anyone tell you that what your dreams or your ideas, they can't be done. Don't listen to that. Go for it.
You just can't go through life like that. I'd rather fail than not know.
And don't let anybody tell you that you don't belong.
That's awesome. That's a great piece of advice.
All right. So those were some snippets from Bootstrapping in America. I'm just going to go to the next slide here. So my first, like I said, I interview people every day, entrepreneurs, CEOs, founders. And there was this, it is one resonating takeaway that I hear it all the time. They're like, just do it. You want to do this? Just do it. Take a risk. And there are so many people that have great ideas, but they actually don't take action. That opportunity is right in front of them, and they don't take action. So that's why you see with entrepreneurs, it is truly just, they're willing to take risks. They're comfortable being uncomfortable. They learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So just do it. My favorite saying ever. I love Nike products too, but that is my favorite saying. So one of the things that people tend to be afraid of is failure, right, in taking a risk. And really, failure, you learn from it, and it's okay. Who thinks, I'm just curious, who really just attributes failure to negativity? Oh, that's kind of cool. Not a lot of people, but guess what? It can be a very positive experience, okay? It really can. As long as you take what you've learned and make sure you don't do it again, kind of thing, or learn from it and build on it. So, and I also said, I already mentioned, be comfortable with risk. It is something that some people, really need to get used to, especially if you're a little bit more risk averse. One of the things that Tastytrade does is it teaches you how to take risk and be comfortable being a little bit uncomfortable. But we teach you how to trade, okay? So that might not be entrepreneurship, but that risk capacity and understanding to take risks, it sort of helps you. It sort of trains you. You trade small, you trade often, you practice, you do it enough times, and all of a sudden, you're crazy confident, right? So, all right. So the next one I want to talk about a little bit. Let's see. There we go. All right, this one I could talk about for an hour, and so I won't, so don't worry. But listening, oops, I went one too far here. There we go. Know your narratives. Know your narrative, know your numbers. Now, this is something really that can help you, whether you're going to start your own business or even in any company, in any position you have. Okay, so I'll talk about that second part a little bit after. So know your narrative. What does that mean? Well, you need to really be able to articulate your story, the who you are, why somebody should listen to you, the what you've built, right? Like, what is your story? What is your product? What differentiates you? Okay? And where can you go with this? What is the opportunity of this particular idea? And so that's something, when you look at knowing your narrative, it's not something you're just going to wing it. You got to do your homework. You got to do your homework. You should look, understand the industry, really understand the industry. There are white papers out there. I mean, there is so much content and so much information out there that, doing just even a little bit of homework, you can build an amazing narrative. Okay? It's storytelling. But you need to also be able to take that narrative and deliver it to whoever that recipient is, whether you're pitching to VCs, whether it's demo day pitch on stage, or whether it's trying to get your first customer, okay? You gotta be able to change that and understand the person on the other end and what they need to hear from you. Now that sounds really basic, right? But there are so many entrepreneurs that go out there, they have one pitch, and they just use it for everything. And you can't do that. You really have to pay attention to who you're pitching to. Okay, the VCs, they want to know what the potential is, but they also want to actually invest in you. So that confidence better shine through. And the other thing, they want to be able to know that if you run into a brick wall, what you're going to do. Are you going to be able to pivot? So they look for those traits in you to make sure that their investment, their money that they're laying on the line is not going to go to waste, okay? Now, when you're pitching your first customer, boy, you want to tap into their emotions. You want to be able to fulfill whatever hole it is that, why you're talking to them in the first place, right? And your first customer is the hardest to get, absolutely the hardest to get. But a lot more follow once you can say, oh, I have this one and I have this one, which is really kind of cool because then your trajectory can look like this, right? All right, so knowing your industry. So I won't go into that too much, but this is something where when I talk about doing your homework, right? Really understand what's out there. Understand when you're trying to launch your company, who are your competitors, okay? And understand sort of, again, where that differentiation is, but be able to rattle those numbers off. That is impressive, particularly the VCs. But it is something that all of a sudden it actually helps you shape your own story. And the other thing that helps you shape your story is knowing your numbers. The VCs don't, you might have to say this from time to time, but the VCs don't want to hear, oh, I'll get back to you on that one. Oh, I'll have to get back to you. Oh, I don't know what that is. You can't not know. You gotta have something. Have an answer and say it confidently. And if you're wrong, come back and tell them later. If it matters, because it might not matter. All right, I don't know if that's the best advice, but I'm just telling you that right now. All right, so the other thing about knowing your numbers. Now, I've been a CFO, I'm a numbers person, totally numbers geek. But for other people who say, oh, I'm not a numbers person, you have to be able to craft the story with the numbers. And if you actually participate in creating those projections, hey, so how much revenue can we get? You don't just pull a number out of the air, right? You say, well, if we get this many customers, and we can charge them this much, and this is how much usage they'll have, and these are the expenses that are associated with all this, you start to realize what the potential is. And that stuff's gonna roll off your tongue, okay? One last thing on the numbers is you should do a conservative, meaning, okay, if I'm gonna run out of money, how quickly is that gonna be, right? Being really conservative in terms of, oh, we're not gonna get customers that fast, right? That will help you not run out of money, right? And then there's sort of the middle of the road, and then there's aggressive. And the aggressive is, the VCs wanna hear the aggressive because they wanna, now I'm not saying just pick the highest number, but what I'm saying is that the aggressive side of it, they really want to know what that potential is, but they're banking on you to deliver, okay? So the other quick thing before I go on to the next one, and I want to make sure I don't run out of time here. If you are not going to start your own company, what I will give you is a piece of advice, and I mentor a few different folks, and I tell them this as they're going through their career. One of the things that you can do is exactly the three things that are up here, okay? Your department, look way beyond your department. Say, what industry is this company in, right? And if it's a massive company, then, figure out the scope, whatever you want to cover. But go out and do your research. See how many metrics you can get internally, okay? Go pitch your boss on a couple of things just by saying, hey, so ask them industry numbers, but have enough information with you that they realize, hey, this is a person I should be talking to. This person has a voice. This person cares. They care about our company. They care how we fit into the industry. And believe you me, those doors start to open. just by asking a question of why, you can get invited to the table. And I'll tell you, time and time again, remember I told you I'm super curious? Time and time again, just because I asked why, I all of a sudden started to get in, I got invitations to go to certain meetings. I'm like, wow, like I was just super excited to even be there, right? But asking questions, people think you're interested. I tell this all the time. When I first met my husband, he had so many questions for me. I was like, oh, he really likes me. Then I ended up marrying him, right? Like he was really interested in me. It works. Ask why. Ask questions. And it's something that everybody around you sort of thinks, wow, this person really has something more to bring to the table. And you will, because you'll learn so much more, because you'll be exposed to so much more. Okay. All right, listen to your customers. This one, again, it sounds so simple. Sounds so simple. But remember at the beginning when I said the top 3 reasons startups fail? The top one was there's no customer need. All right, so the biggest takeaway here is when you have an idea, get it out there. Get it out there, get feedback, and not from your friends and family. No offense to your friends and family. But they're gonna lie to you, okay? Because they don't wanna hurt your feelings. They don't. So this is something where when you talk to people outside of your circle of friends, they'll tell you, see if there really is a need out there. Then, once you've launched, make sure that you are accessible, okay? Meaning, being able to talk to your customers. One of my favorite things about being here in Orlando at the Money Show is we have our customers like hanging out at the booth and we're able to talk with them directly. That is awesome, okay? On top of that, we have a tone from the top. I mean, myself, Tom, all of our on-air personalities, we give out our email addresses all the time because we want to talk to our customers. And I'll tell you, some of the best, most innovative ideas come from our customers. They're like, I want this. I need this. Hey, why aren't you guys doing this? Really super helpful. I love it. I already got like 5 ideas today just chatting with customers. The other thing I'll mention is large organizations pay millions and millions of dollars for surveys to get information from their customers. But nothing is as valuable as sitting down and understanding how a customer actually uses your products. Actually, what works, what doesn't, what irritates them, whatever it may be. I'll tell you that is so incredibly valuable. So, if you create access, meaning making yourself accessible, particularly you're the CEO or founder, knowing and hearing that directly from customers is incredibly valuable. And the other point on that, on the bottom, tone from the top, we set the tone, talking with our employees, we want them to treat customers, spend as much time with them on the phone, send as many emails back and forth, whatever it may be, or time on a chat, because that's why we're there. At the end of the day, we're there for the customers, right? Isn't that why we started the company? To basically fulfill our mission, right? To empower the do-it-yourself investor. That's our mission, okay? And so as long as they see us doing it, they're going to do it too. We tell them, we want you to treat the customer like you are sitting right next to them. And I'll tell you, it's not just, hey, do this. It is a way of our culture, which is really important, creating that kind of culture. All right. There we go. All right. Now, again, you guys, I know some of this stuff might seem basic, but I'll tell you, oh. All right. Did it work okay? All right. I'm having clicker problems. No, that's actually me. It's the user. All right. So be willing to work hard. My very dear friend, Howard Tallman, who's the CEO of 1871, he's actually retiring, but he's phenomenal. He says, you get what you work for, not what you wish for. And that could not be truer. It is so true. You can't just wish for something. You really have to put the time and energy into it. When you build a company, it is 24/7. While it's super exciting and empowering, it is hard work, okay? It is hard work and can be frustrating at times. But it's something that if you set yourself up understanding that it's gonna be hard work and it's gonna be a lot of work, that's okay. But what I'll say here too, if you pick an idea that you are passionate about, then it doesn't feel like work. I say it all the time, and I'm sure you guys have heard this phrase, do what you love what you do, because you spend a majority of your time doing it, right? And so every day you go to work, if you love what you do, like when I wake up in the morning, I can't wait to go to work. I know, something's wrong with me. But I have 3 wonderful kids, love my family, but I love what I do during the day too, okay? And I say during the day, but remember it's 24/7, so it's at nighttime too, and it's on weekends and all that kind of stuff too, because that's what entrepreneurship's all about. All right, so the other thing I really quickly want to mention here, which is actually an important point. When we hire people, okay, one of the things that I look for personally, is sort of this drive to make a difference. Someone who actually wants to make a difference and has a wonderful positive attitude. Because I'll tell you, that adds to the wonderful collaborative environment, and it helps build a great culture. And I'll tell you another thing too, that when you look at in the real world, effort trumps talent. That means that I would hire somebody who is going to work hard, has a positive attitude. I mean, you still have to have some level of intelligence, right? I mean, you still have to be able to do the job. But someone who's going to work really hard, I would pick them over someone who has, 4.0, but can't communicate, is very singular in the way they work, and all of that. So it really comes down to someone who's more well-rounded and willing to jump in and put their whole self in. And that's how we hire. We want people to be passionate about what we love too. And that whole empowering the do-it-yourself investor, it's so fun when you find someone, you're interviewing them, and they love this stuff. Or there are a lot of times we actually hire some Tastytraders. They're like, I've been watching your show for years and trading, and it's really fun to sort of pull them in and be part of it. Okay. All right, I'm going to go to the next slide. I don't know why my clicker, it'll probably go one more slide, right? All right, so this leads me to there we go. I keep doing that. You guys are fixing it for me back there, aren't you? Thank you for that. All right, so your team matters. Okay, well, I talked about this a little bit just now. So hiring people that want to make a difference and diversity of thought. Okay, excuse me. So this goes back to one of the first things I said, actually, after Tom introduced me, is diversity of thought. When you look around and you build your teams, you don't necessarily need or want someone who thinks exactly like you, who looks exactly like you, who acts and walks and eats what you eat. It's something, well, it's nice and it's comforting, okay? That's not what you need. What you need are people that are going to challenge you, people that are going to bring something else to the table, that have a different skill set than you have, and also have a different sort of, I'll say, way of looking at things. And that is really incredibly valuable. That, all of a sudden, your world doesn't look like this, your world looks like this. And it's really kind of cool. It's great because when you bring that diversity of thought together, and that it's the collaboration, it breeds innovation. And that is fun and really cool to be part of. Okay, so I think I'm running out of time here. So when I pull all of these things together, you look at taking risks, knowing your narrative in numbers, listening to your customers, make sure you're accessible, and be willing to work hard, very, very hard, and build the team around you, but do it in a diverse way, okay? And I think that for the most part, those are probably the I'm going to say best takeaways I can give you. Not only that I learned, like I said, on my own, but also looking at all of the entrepreneurs I interview every day, the entrepreneurs coming through 1871. It's just, it truly, I've seen the same things time and time again. So the last thing I will leave you with is opportunity is all around you. Pay attention, but it does not drop in your lap. You have to grab it. And that is something I say all the time. I think people get, like, even my employees, I throw it up there. I'm like, that's an opportunity. They know what they need to do. So thank you so much. I appreciate you all sitting through this.